Matthias tries to toughen up his son in this traditional masculine way. I couldn't help but form a parallel between your previous film, Graduation, where there's a more middle-class father, physician, who's helping his daughter navigate this bureaucracy and try to drag her to attend some kind of prestigious college. And so there's some kind of parallel there, but then the way they're kind of dragging their children forward are very different. I guess in your mind, when you're writing these kinds of characters, how does like the different class statuses of these characters, how does different psychological frames play into it, and how do you kind of work through that?
So the question is about the relationship between Matthias and his son Rudy, and the audience member was saying that he saw some parallels with your previous film, Graduation, but there's a difference between father and son and father and daughter, and then class difference. And so how do you think about those relationships?
There is, yeah, I mean, their solutions as parents are different, but they come from the same anxiety about the future of their children and about the anxiety about how the world is going to look and what education is all about. Because as a parent, you feel that, you know, you are in between these two tendencies of trying to tell your children the things that he needs to know so the world would become a better place to live, and the other tendency is to tell them something so that they will survive and they will be the first to get out on that door if a fire starts now. Then we will stop being polite, we will all rush over there, and the most fit will survive and the others won't. Sorry, but this is the way life goes. And their solutions are different because their problems are different, but they come from the same source. And in the case of Matthias, because he has this very traditionalistic, masculine kind of addressing the society, he knows for sure that the solution for him is to make this, you know, this young boy a survivor, because he sees that the world is going into that direction, and all this idea of being empathic and tolerant won't help him to survive. And in the Q&As that I had after the film, I liked this idea that you know, if there's any kind of optimism in the film, it's connected with the decision of this young child. As soon as he's given for once the chance to make a decision of his own and he's given the weapon, he feels pity for the animal and he frees the animal. So I don't know, if you want, there's still hope in the fact that maybe the children will be wise enough not to follow what we tell them to do. But we shouldn't rely on this. We should try to change a little bit what we tell them, because if not, you know, as the message of Graduation is, if we keep on educating the children the same way we were, there's not going to be any change in the world whatsoever.
I actually confess before I came here today, looked at your Wikipedia page and saw that your sister is a very famous, I guess they say, political scientist in Romania, and I was just curious, do you ever find any influence from like the work that she does, any kind of conversations? Have you ever sort of like brainstormed together and a project came into fruition? Because so many of your works are surrounded by socialists, are surrounded social issues, are kind of centered around that.
Thank you, that's a very interesting and different question. I don't get it often, so I like actually, she lives in Berlin since some 15 years, so we don't get to see each other very often. If you want, I am somehow influenced, but not directly, in the sense that, for example, she hasn't watched my film yet, and we don't talk about this. She doesn't know what my film is about. I do know what her thoughts are because she continues writing her weekly paper for the last 25 years. So I know what she thinks about. And actually what she does is very interesting. You know, she's somebody reaching this age. I think she's 58 and she still believes she can change the world for the better, which is, you know, great to think. We rather have a common background in the sense that she helped me a lot in my life, and I started being a journalist because of her. She brought me to the journal where she was working, and we were both, you know, working as journalists when we were very young. And I preserved this habit of reading a lot of press and being very socially aware of what happens, and I'm always starting from something real. I collect a lot of stories, I place them in different folders. So from this perspective, we are both preoccupied about, I don't know, this level in which besides the main storyline of the characters, you speak about what happens in society in a given moment. And I hope that the film is, if you want, a snapshot of how the world looks today.
Right here?
Tell us about the bears.
Ah, there it comes. The question is about the bears.
But you need to be more precise. Tell you
What do you
what
want to know
about
about the bears?
What was your thinking about the bears?
Okay.
As an elf.
Okay, look, I told you a little bit about this already. You know, the film speaks a lot about this dual nature that we're having, partly human and partly animal. And this is why I thought that once I found this tradition in Romania in which people do dress in bears, that's going to be very useful to speak about this dual nature that we have. Because actually this is a way of speaking about the necessity of, if you want, taming the animal inside you. Because if not, he's always going to pop up and he's going to influence your decisions. And finally, what's important is that at the end of the film, he, as the main character, Matthias, understands better that he needs to make this kind of choice between this animalic side coming with all the anxiety and murky impulses coming from the darkness and these creatures, I would say, haunting him. And you know, on the other side there is the light, the music, the woman he loves, the structure of the village, the human side, and he needs to make a choice. But you know, what's important for me at the end is to make people understand that you need to make a choice. That matters. What choice you make in your real life in between these two sides. And also it's important to think about this before you need to make the choice, because if not, you are going to be surprised. And this is what we see nowadays, for example, in this war in Ukraine, that, you know, people are have a very violent nature, and they are very capable from today until tomorrow to kill, rape, or torture somebody else who was their neighbor until yesterday. And also because they are not aware of this kind of nature. They never took the time to think over, so they react instinctually. And for what? For, you know, very, very little propaganda that all of a sudden presents the other as the greatest enemy that you cannot really talk to.
Wait, I think we have time. Okay, up there? Okay.
I just wanted to ask if you had screened the film in the town where the incident took place, and if the reaction to that, or if you had plans to screen the film.
Very good question. Thank you for this. As soon as I got back from Cannes, I organized a caravan and toured Romania, screening the film in a lot of places that don't have cinemas anymore. And I wanted to start, and I started screening the film precisely in the village where everything happened, and precisely in this venue, which is on the internet, where their town hall meeting was held. And I was curious enough to ask the people coming, so who was there at that moment. Some of them had to admit they were there, and they were here as well. The mayor was very sad that we were coming to do this there for the first time. Also because, honestly, there was a lot of press coming with us, accompanying us, and you know how press is, they were waiting for something to happen, and something for them meant that they hoped that some violent incident would occur. And it was difficult for the spectators as well, because they were supposed to watch a film, but a lot of cameras were focused on them while they were watching the film. And that was kind of an interesting atmosphere as well, because like 2 years later, after the things have happened, of course they need to get along with the situation somehow. So the lady from the bakery came and brought goodies for everybody, pastry, which was very strange. But of course, nothing violent happened, and we had a very good conversation in the end. And also because I was surprised how people were able to express something very structured, that it was easier for them and a kind of a healing process to watch this fictionalized on screen, because now they were having the right distance to understand the situation, and also they were very happy because I wasn't judgmental. When they came there, they mentioned that they came there to defend. They really they didn't know precisely what to defend, but their reputation, village, whatever, but actually there was nothing to defend. I was presenting the complex context in which some people made a choice and why, because these are things that we need to think about. I think that, you know, one of the problems of the political correctness is that political correctness hasn't changed anything profoundly. It doesn't change the way people think, just the way people express themselves. So what I think we should change is how they think. But in order to do this, we need to let them speak out and express, first of all, what they think, and then maybe we can engage into some sort of dialogue and change something profoundly.
Great. And there was one more you said?
I'd like to talk about question about the language barrier across the film with the Romanian speakers and the Hungarian speakers. What was sort of that process of how you communicated with each other to make the film happen?
Okay. First of all, of course I wrote everything in Romanian at the beginning. Then I had somebody who was very qualified. He's writing theater, so he's used with dialogues, and he translated. He made the Hungarian version of the dialogues. And then what I did, I hired somebody in the crew. The script girl was Hungarian from Romania, but she was accompanying us all the time. She was the one, I don't know, whenever we needed, talking to the people. And then with this playwright, her and one of the actors was very good, the theater actress, the one playing the boss in the film. We revised that dialogue very many times, in the sense that I wanted it to be very informal, very much like the one that I have in Romanian, the way people talk, very simple and very oral. Besides this, it was my first experience of directing people talking in a different language, but because I knew precisely what they were saying, it wasn't that difficult. I could follow the subtext of what they were saying, because that's difficult in directing actors, not to deliver the lines, but to deliver the subtext. And this comes from the rhythm, from the stress on certain words, from how they internalize the dialogue, and I could get to the end of it somehow, and I was always double checking with the script girl what was her opinion about this. But we pretty much had the same ideas, because it's a matter of energy, and you could feel when they had the right rhythm already.
Great. And then we'll take here.